So what do your findings tell us about journalism as a product, based on what we heard even before this?
Oh, well, let me first say thank you to Pei for doing a great job presenting our paper. And thank you even more for throwing me in the firing line after that. Yeah, I think it was serendipitous to have Melissa Bell talk about the problems with broadcast television news, because I thought our findings are sort of empirical verification of some of the points that she was making. What we found was that the actual televised debate was only of secondary importance in the Twitter conversation. Most of the conversation related to larger issues about candidates and so forth that people probably got from online sources. So that speaks to the problems with television news and television journalism today. And then more broadly, I would say if we look at the Twitter conversation itself as journalistic product, and I know that that requires a leap of faith. It requires rethinking the boundaries of journalism as we have known for a long time. But if we do think of the Twitter conversation itself as journalistic content, then that would mean that Twitter or other social networking sites, we have to think of them as news channels. And that leads us to thinking about the responsibilities that they bear as public services. And then that leads us to think about how some of the facilities and features of these news channels, such as Twitter, for instance, personalization, customization of news feeds, which are normally talked about in very happy terms, how they can lead to some problems, such as the creation of echo chambers. The technology and journalism, we hear a lot of happy talk about them through most of ISOJ every year, but they do lead to certain questions and concerns as well that critical research raises, and that's something that practitioners as well as researchers need to think about.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Seth. Terry, since we're kind of going in reverse order now.
Sure.
Okay, so archives as product.
Yeah, I think something we need to keep in mind is simply that news doesn't lose its value once it's no longer news. It's still the cornerstone with which we build, in a sociological sense, collective memory, and it affects people individually as well. And so again, the idea that we need to look at the products that we create today in a sense of their longevity and meaning, down the road. What are people 25, 30, 50 years from now going to think about our societies and news events that occurred, and that's going to be based on the products that we still can provide for them through archives. So I think it really underscores the importance of, difficult as it is, especially in the context of newsroom cuts. It's kind of hard to argue for money for keeping the past available on your website or your other products. But we need to have that conversation about how to make that happen. Otherwise, we're going to be in great danger of losing entire spans of community history, cultural history, social history that is going to be missed by people that we don't have here yet. So.
Okay, thank you. And James, in your case, a lot of the publications, you could say the owners were products in and of themselves. There's almost a cult of personality in some cases involved, or?
In some respect, the success of these media depended on, at least at the beginning, depended on the reputation that they had in the community, both in the professional community of journalists and in the community as a whole. What was their reputation? I think that probably for me what was most interesting about this, especially in the light of everything we've heard today about a lack of trust, a loss of trust, a loss of connection with the audience, is that these publications have managed to get people to pay pay for news online, which everybody said is impossible. And not only that, but they're paying for hard news online, which is the kind of journalism that's in many respects the least economically viable. So what for me was interesting is that these organizations, they're selling a product that they're presenting reliability, confidence in the quality of the journalism and the independence of the journalism, that has a value that's not necessarily appreciated in the normal sort of a way that we evaluate a business, and that there is a market, and that's why I'm optimistic. Although the market now, I mean, this is a small group and it's not a lot of money yet, but I have faith in the audience based on what I'm seeing with the success of those media.
That is interesting, trust as a product in and of itself. And Maria, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to be repurposed and seen as doing something like Medium. So can you also talk about, the use of Medium and using journalism as a product?
I think what I am seeing with my initial results in this project is that there are a lot of people interested in use these platforms. Medium has finished last year, 2006, with 300% of raising of user, even though it doesn't get to make profit with the platform. I don't know what they are doing, how to fix this problem, but I'm looking for results about journalism inside the platform, because what I saw here is a lot of presentations talking about different platforms, not just Medium, showing how people, not only journalists, but most of people using Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat and YouTube, using these platforms to produce content. And I trying to looking for ways to produce and to understand how journalism is doing these things.
Yeah, I mean, how the platform affects the journalism itself and what it does to it. Yeah, so let's give our researchers a hand, because I put them on the spot by saying, hey, tie this into that great speech we just heard, and I think they did an excellent job. So